Welcome to another edition of After Hours. It's been a little bit, but again, my life has been a little bit crazy as I detailed in the last podcast. Hope you guys have been good. Hope it's been a good last couple of weeks. Now, normally we're talking a lot of Broncos on this podcast. I should warn everybody, this is going to start heading in a little bit different direction now that I'm back on a sports station. I'm going to start introducing you again to some of the interesting people I know and get some of their stories, including one of the guys named Joey who runs Crisp Tattoo and Barbershop. He's also the barber for Christian McCaffrey, so he's got a few stories to tell. Some guys like that. We're going to hook up with the head brewers from Breckenridge Brewery and kind of take the podcast that way as well. But joining me today is one of my new coworkers. Now, Alex, I know you as Raj, which is best because I think every time I try to say your name, I screw it up. It's Rajaniemi?
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's better than what most people get.
So normally, what is it? How do you pronounce it?
Rajaniemi.
Rajaniemi?
Rajaniemi. And even I pronounce it incorrectly. It's supposed to be Rajaniemi.
Okay. Rajaniemi?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the amount of butcherings that I've heard throughout my life of that, I've had announcers try and give my name for a starting lineup and just go, Alex, I'm not even going to touch that one, and then move on to the next guy.
See, I've done that too. So tell everybody why announcers would be trying to say your name. You were a minor league hockey player?
Oh, no, I wish I was minor league. I grew up playing triple and double A hockey here in Colorado, then moved on and played college up in Syracuse, New York, for the Orange, no longer the Orange Men. But, you'd have announcers announcing either goals, assists. Most of the time for me it was a penalty or a misconduct, and they would just go the easiest of names for people. I'd like to see what McNabb and Mosier would have done with that had they not known how to say my name.
Yeah, you know what bothered me the other day, speaking of that? So did you have a nickname? Like, what was your nickname? Ryer? Was it Raj?
It was Raj. Always Raj.
Okay.
I had some guys, they'd call me Vaj if they wanted to get underneath my skin,
Right.
but it would be Raj for the majority of my career, I guess you could call it.
See, we were talking to Mosier the other day on the show, and he gives Nate a Nader, and I got nothing. So he's in the club, and I'm not.
Nate walked past my office one day. It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. He goes, "Hey, Alex, what's up?" And I go, "What's up, Krek?" And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I go, "What are you saying? Like, what are you calling this guy?" And he kind of like stopped. "Do you just call me Krek?" I think I'd call him Krex. Kreckers.
Krek. I like Krex. Krex works, right?
It'd probably be Krex. If he was in a Krex, he'd probably go to that one.
A little Krexy. Well, I want one. I want a nickname, which means I'll never get one.
Lindy. It's Lindy.
Is it Lindy?
With a name like Lindahl? Yeah, it's Lindy.
I'll take that over Linz, something like that. Anyway, Raj. I'm a little surprised they went Raj on you.
You'd get Raji, you'd get Roger, you'd get Raj, but a lot of people, especially if they don't know my face, since I'm working on radio now, they don't expect me to look the way I look. They expect my pigment to be a little bit darker and a little bit far, Eastern looking.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
When's the last Raj you knew that was blonde hair and blue eyes?
Yeah, fair enough. I guess it's because I knew you had a hockey background that I was expecting something else. I guess that little piece of information maybe slips in. But okay, I guess I could see that now. So Big Bang Theory like.
Yes.
How often are you on a remote then? We deal with this all the time. What I love is I always get the disappointed look where you just know, okay, I don't know what you had me looking like in my head.
Yeah. This is what Andy looks like. I've gone on remote. It's got to be 15, 16 times now. And most of the time you get people come up and, "Hi, I'm Alex," or "Hi, nice to meet you." And they kind of look at you and they're like, I know your voice. "Oh, I'm Raj." And they go, "No, you're not Raj. There's no way. You're this tiny little white kid." But yeah, most people that see me kind of do a double take. Like that. Why do we call you that?
That's perfect, man. Raj is easy for me to say. I can remember a couple weeks ago, Nate was gone, and I had to say your name in front of the draft show. I think you were down where we are now at the Blake Street Tavern. And I don't know what it was. Like you said, there's something about the middle part of your name that just throws up a stop sign and your brain locks up. And so anyway. All right, so you obviously have the hockey background. You're one of our hockey experts over at Altitude 92.5. For those that maybe missed the previous couple of podcasts, that's my new home now for radio. Please tune in, listen to us. If you can, listen to us on the actual radio, 92.5. We'd love to hear from you. We're getting together here so we can chat a little bit about this Avs free agency class and the trading period and the draft and everything else. What have been your thoughts? I've heard you on the radio. For those that haven't heard, I don't think any of us that are Avs fans love the thought of Tyson Barrie finding a new zip code, but that's ultimately what happened, although you were warning people that it could happen.
We talked about this the night of the draft when I was sitting about 3 stools over from where I am right now, that Barrie was on the chopping block. And I know Joe Sakic, the day after the draft, said, you know what, we really weren't dishing him around. That was clearly not true. A little bit of a smoke and mirror effect there. But he was a guy that became expendable when you drafted Bo Byram at number 4. He is a guy that is going to price himself out of your ability to retain him. He's probably going to command $8 to $10 million next year when he's an unrestricted free agent. And Sakic in the front office having the wherewithal to understand that you're not going to be able to afford that guy, and you need to get something in return from him. They did that in one trade. And I know there's a lot of people, right, he has the most points, the most goals, the most assists by any NHL defenseman to ever wear an Avalanche uniform. He's a guy that was drafted by the Avs. He's a guy that came in with your captain in Gabe Landeskog. There's a ton of people, especially out there on Avs Twitter, that are emotionally attached to that player. I get it's a bittersweet thing to move on, but you picked up a player in Nazem Kadri who solidifies your secondary scoring, solidifies your second center, and he also brings a little bit of grit to the to the program, to the organization. I thought it was a fantastic trade.
I talked to a guy yesterday that's one of my deep hockey sources, and he told me, he just said point blank, Andy, in a couple of years, everyone's going to forget that Tyson Barrie ever wore the uniform because that's how good Bo Byram is. And I was told we actually had on Jason Greger from Edmonton on our program Thursday, or what would that have been, Tuesday? It feels like Thursday because it's Wednesday that we're recording this, but a short week. Anyway, Jason had told us, don't overlook, is it Cale
Makar?
No. The minor league prospect.
Rosen.
Cale Rosen.
Rosen.
Cal or Cale?
I think it's Cal Rosen.
Okay, we'll go Cal Rosen. Anyway, he said...
I could be completely wrong.
Jason thought that he basically said, don't overlook this kid. You don't know much about him because he's been only in professional hockey for 2 years, but he said that could be a steal in that deal.
He tore up the American League last year. He had like 46 or 48 points as a defenseman last year in the American League. As a young guy, he's 24, 25 years old, playing in his second year over from Sweden. He could be a guy, you shouldn't be banking on him to step in and, put up 65 to 70 points a year like Tyson Barrie could, but he's a guy that can step in and be a third-pairing defenseman for you if you need him to be. I also think he needs another year to marinate down there in the AHL, but he's a guy, take a peek at him. There's a reason why he was included in that deal, because you were clearly giving up a little bit more by sending Barrie out for Kadri, and I know that they included Kerfoot on the deal. Kerfoot he's a non-starter for me. I think they need to move on from him regardless. But you did need to recoup a little bit more. You got a third-round pick, and you also got a pretty skilled young defenseman in Rosen.
I'm smiling because I'm with you. I think Nate and I talked about it on our program too. Alexander Kerfoot was a fun player. But when you got to the playoffs, and to me, everything's measured in the playoffs. How did it go in the playoffs? And to me, I feel like you saw, in my opinion, you need a little more size to survive some of the Stanley Cup playoffs as far as in the mix for the Avs. And the bottom line was, as nice of a story as Kerfoot was down the stretch, he was struggling in the playoffs. And you tried to keep the big line apart. You had to put him back together. He was a fun player while he was here. I understand that we all tend to root for the undersized guy in whatever the sport is. Ultimately, we are wringing too many hands about the loss of Alexander Kerfoot.
No doubt. This is a player that got a lot of fan appreciation and a fan love because he's an undrafted free agent from Harvard. You don't really see that a lot in the NHL, especially a guy who goes to an Ivy League school. Most of the guys who come out of college who are unrestricted free agents are University of Denver, North Dakota, Minnesota, those types of schools. Michigan's, your Boston colleges and BUs. Not Harvard, not the smart guys. So when he comes in, a little bit undersized, undrafted free agent, had a really good collegiate season, collegiate career, you're going to gravitate towards that player. He had a couple of 40-point seasons, but for me, he didn't shine when he needed to. And I think you alluded to that fact a couple of minutes ago, talking about what he did not do in the playoffs. For me, I saw it throughout the entire season. When he got moved up to the top line, when he was playing power play minutes, when McKinnon was on the ice, you saw the puck hit his stick, and he would immediately panic. He would shrink up and immediately look for number 29. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, where is he? I need to get the puck off my stick. Nate's going to yell at me if I don't make a good pass. And then he would take forever to get his shots off. For that reason, I was soured on him. I needed to move away. For me, if that's what Sakic had to add to get Kadri in a third and Rosen, so be it.
What's your take on Kadri and the goon play? Now, none of us likes to see a cross-check to the head. But again, Jason Gregor, who's as deep in hockey as anyone. I mean, the guy's in Edmonton for a reason. He's a pro hockey writer. He's also a Hockey Hall of Fame voter. I mean, the guy's got a pretty extensive resume when it comes to the hockey in the NHL, and he said, I'd rather have a guy. He basically said that's what the Avs needed. I mean, this is a guy in Edmonton saying the Avs, between the trades, Donskoy, Kadri, everyone they've added, they've now got more balanced scoring, and they've got some of the grit that they're going to need to take people on in the playoffs. Are you worried, though, about the fact that Kadri plays very well on the edge and often goes over?
You know what's funny is that Joe Sakic joined our morning show, Mosier, Lombardi, and Kane, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, to talk about this very issue. And he had a really funny comment. He just goes, don't play Boston, which I thought was funny and kind of true, because outside of those two Boston series the past 2 years with the cross-check to the head and the boarding call that he gets suspended for, he's a guy who plays on the edge. Those two hits, dirty as hell. Don't get me wrong. Dirty, dirty, dirty. They can't happen. They can't happen in a situation where when your number 2 or number 3 center goes out in Kadri, you're going to lose that series, which they did in consecutive years in 7 games to Boston. But you need a player who's going to be able to step up for your superstars. And you saw teams kind of like Minnesota, like Anaheim during the end of the regular season, just start to bully you down the middle and throw cheap shots at your young, smaller guys. Guys like Cale Makar, who obviously didn't play against Anaheim or Minnesota, but they will do that next year to
He
Makar.
got that treatment, though, against San Jose. San Jose was looking for him.
Of
they
course.
were going to put a heavy hit on him.
Of course. They're going to do that against Girard. They're going to do that to McKinnon. They're going to do that to Rantanen, who, as big of a guy as he is, doesn't really play an overly physical game. He's not a Peter Forsberg in the sense that he's going to put his body on the line, to make a play or to go out of his way to make a hit. Kadri's going to be that guy. He's going to be that buffer between, an enforcer, which isn't really in the NHL anymore, and your superstar players. You need that, and he's a guy who can put up 30 goals a year if he's healthy.
Well, and I also, again, heard from the source, he's not afraid to take on the top centers, right? He's also going to play good defense against the other team's top center. So I think they got what they needed. I like the balance. I like what they've done so far. Varlamov leaves. How would you term his stay here? I think for the most part it was successful. I'm not sure it was everything I hoped it to be, especially when he got the nicer contract, but there certainly have been worse goalies in Avalanche history.
Is unfulfilled a good enough word?
Yeah, probably. Leaving a little more, wanting a little more.
There was that year that he finished second in the Vezina voting to Tuukka Rask, where he was the only reason why the Avs were one of the best teams in the league. I think that was 2013 when they won the Central Division. Outside of that year, you got good play from him, but it felt inconsistent. It felt injury-riddled. And for me, that was the reason why I could never really get on the Varlamov bandwagon. It's also the reason why I thought you need to move on from him as soon as possible, because who knows? Maybe he has a good 45 games for New York next year, and then his groin injury comes back. He's getting up there in age. I think they signed him to good term, but for his Avs career, he's certainly not Patrick Waugh. He's better than Abisher, better than Billington, better than Denis, better than Theodore.
What about Craig Anderson?
Better than Anderson.
Anderson had a nice stretch, but it fell off,
I could put him as the second best goaltender in Avalanche history. Is that? Which is funny because I'm saying unfulfilled, and if you're talking about the only guy ahead of you is Patrick Waugh, that seems like a pretty damn good Colorado career.
Well, didn't Waugh replace Stefan Fiset, right, in the early going? And, Stefan never became anything for anybody else in the league. So, yeah, I don't know. I think you're probably right. Abisher would be the only one that could maybe argue with him as far as starts and so on and so forth, but they certainly didn't get as much out of Abisher's tenure as they did out of Varlamov's.
Right, and Abisher only had that one really good season in 2003, which was arguably the most talented Avs roster in existence when they signed Solani in Korea and then underperformed. That was really his only good year. He had like 32 wins or something on that season.
Yeah, and he had some pretty good defensemen, I think, still around for the Avs at that time. So I think you're probably right. It's crazy to think, but Varlamov, see, that's what I think is crazy. People are so pissed off about Kerfoot. Nobody has even seemed to grumble about Varlamov. And really, if you think about service time and what was accomplished during that time, I think some people would be at least a little more sad to see Semyon leave.
He should have won a Vezina when he was here. He got a little cheated out of that. I think that was that East Coast bias giving Rask the win there. I think he had a pretty good career. I think it set him up to have his, I believe this is his 4th contract now in the NHL. If he doesn't have as much success as he does here, he doesn't get that 4-year, $5 million per contract on the island.
All right, I got to ask you, because we are hanging out at Blake Street Tavern. Come join us. Although by the time you hear this, you won't be able to. Sorry. Come join us later on when we do it again. Anyway, favorite NHL uniform? And I'll explain why I'm asking you this in a moment.
Favorite NHL unit all time
all
or
time.
Current? New York Rangers home, their white homes,
okay.
not their blue homes. Chicago Blackhawks away, their red aways, not their white aways. Or the Chicago Blackhawks thirds. They have alternates that were black back in the late 90s, and they made kind of like a weird Stadium Series version of it a couple of years ago. That alternate back in the late 90s. Those 3 jerseys in that order.
See, that's interesting to me because if you were going to go blue shirts, I like the Lady Liberty blue shirt jerseys.
The Merrick Malik jerseys.
Yeah,
yes.
I got to go with that. I also miss the Avs burgundy ones that just said Colorado, kind of in the Rangers
fashion. How about
fashion.
the atrocity that they tried to recreate when they had that jersey in the blue?
Yeah, that was not good.
The burgundies were pretty good.
The
burgundies were really good jersey. Those are underrated Avs jerseys.
So we've got Astros fans behind us because the day we're recording this is the final game of the Rockies-Astros series. Where are you ranking that uniform? Not the old orange yellow.
Oh, the sunset
throwback.
jersey?
Yeah, there you go. Is that what they call it?
That's what I'll call
Good
it.
enough.
It doesn't
I
look like
it.
a little bit of a sunset.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's not quite the rainbow jersey,
no.
but that's down the list on Astros. I like the Jeff Bagwell era jerseys, the red wine and gold jerseys with the black pinstripes for the Astros. But that's not up there in baseball uniform lore for me. I love the powder blue Cardinals jerseys. I grew up a Met fan, so I'm a huge fan of just the classic white Mets with the script across it. Those are 2 big ones for me. If I'm being honest, the Rockies are my second favorite team. They've got a special place in my heart. I don't like any Rockies jerseys, and I never have.
I'm kind of with you on that one. The pinstripes felt copied. I don't mind the purple ones because that at least feels a little original.
Those are my favorite out of the units.
But I'm with you. I don't know that I don't mind. I guess I don't mind the black sleeveless ones. But like George Costanza, I worry that they're too hot when they play in those. What's maybe your favorite all-time, the one all-time any sport jersey?
Oh, that's a hard one. Any sport, NFL doesn't do it for me. NBA doesn't do it for me.
Well, look, if
in
you're
terms
a white
of jerseys,
guy in your 40s, you can't wear the NBA jersey.
I can't wear an NBA jersey right now, and I'm in my 20s. If you want to see like toothpick shoulder blades popping out of a tank, you throw me in a Supersonics jersey, I guess. But none of those 2 leagues have jerseys that I'm in love with.
We going with the sweater then?
We have to go with the sweater. Give me Hartford Whalers greens.
Really? All right. See, Nate's at the end of the table. One day we're going to make him partake. Hartford
Bonanza.
Whaler green. You're okay?
Brass
That's
Bonanza.
a thumbs up.
It's one of the best logos in sports history.
The old whaler?
Yes.
With the whale tail?
With the whale tail and the H. It's fantastic. And they've got the old beluga whale looking with the ERS after it, too.
Yeah.
I love that jersey.
Respected a lot of your opinions till we got to this point. Now I'm not so sure. Now
What do you not like about it? It's got emerald green. It has silver. It has blue, white. It's a fresh thread. It's not busy.
It's not busy. What are we hanging curtains? I like a little flash.
It's not the Anaheim Ducks New Jerseys with 17 stripes on the arms.
I'll give you that. I don't need it looking like some bad 70s throw-up thing.
What was the team in the early 90s? It was either the early 90s or the late 80s who played with the Windwell coveralls. Was it the Canucks? That they had black pants that looked like referee pants?
I don't remember those.
Someone they were called the Cooperalls. I can't remember who wore them, but I think it was the Vancouver Canucks.
Sounds like it was a bad idea.
It was a terrible idea. It was like the White Sox wearing shorts. Did the White Sox wear shorts?
Yeah, I think you're right. Did we get some shorts as part of a Major League uniform?
Oh, yeah.
Were they Were they John Stockton shorts or were they modern NBA shorts? John Stockton? You can't do that on a baseball field. You can't do that, period. All right, you know what? I don't know what's going on at the Blake Street Tavern. We got a bunch of Astro fans coming in here. Did you set this up? Who set this up?
Game's in a few hours, but there's transplants all over the place.
Are you annoyed like everybody? Oh, my God, those are terrible. Cole just pulled them up.
Fantastic.
That looks like a bad men's softball uniform. Who wore those? The White Sox? Oh, wait, Nate just pulled those up. Good God. Anyway, are you annoyed as many are about the fan base that apparently shows up for opposing games?
I get upset about it, but I can't gripe about it, right? You can't be upset with people coming into the game and supporting their team because if the Mets are in town, I'm not wearing Rockies garb. It's not going to happen. I'm wearing blue and orange, and I'm being annoying and trying to sound like a New Yorker that I'm not. But does it get me upset? It gets me upset at hockey games when I show up to a Blackhawks game and it sounds like it's a game at United Center. It gets me upset when it's the Yankees or the Cubs in town for the Rockies. It's just Chicago and New York fans travel so damn well. They're like Pittsburgh fans in the NFL. It upsets me when I feel like I'm not in Colorado at a game.
Yeah.
Or when I'm looking out and looking at, into the sunset tonight from the first base side, that I can't just enjoy the game and enjoy the views, but I have to listen to people flying the W or chanting "Let's go Yanks" at a game. I can't handle that, but I'm not going to be the person who comes out and poo-poos and says, if you're a Rocky fan, don't sell them to opposing fans. You can sell them to whoever you want. You bought those tickets.
Yeah, I just like it better when you use a little discretion, but I'm with you. Ultimately, money is money. I don't know. See, for me,
if it's a playoff game,
you're right.
If it's a playoff game, keep it within the fan base.
Well, and that's up to the team, too. Again, I have my baby brother got to go to the last game of the Red Sox World Series because I won the lottery at work, and he was so irate that it was like 50-50 because the Rockies threw him online, and that put it open competition for everybody. Try to at least make sure your guys get them first before you go that route.
Regular season, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to do it.
But in the postseason, you got to come on. You got to know people are going to travel for some of these games.
I get more incensed about fan who wears opposing team's jersey when that team is not playing in the game.
Or not even the sport.
Right.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Tim Tebow's rolling around.
No doubt. When you're at a hockey game between the Panthers and the Avs and someone's rocking a Florida Gators Tim Tebow jersey, or God forbid a Syracuse Mets Tim Tebow jersey.
Yeah, pretty much any of the Tim Tebow
That's what I'll
jerseys
get
I'm
upset
done with,
about.
But
I'll get upset about the 45-year-old that has a personalized jersey with his name on the back, or the 50-year-old that brings a glove to the game. That's what I get upset about.
This is always weird to me because some of my buddies that actually have played will say, "Why would you put another man's name on the back of on a jersey? Why would you wear that jersey instead of just getting your own on there?" And I was like, "Dude, I am not at 45 rolling in with the Lindahl jersey, so somehow it looks like, you know what I mean?"
Who's this Lindahl guy? Who did we just sign?
Oh, it was so funny because I went to a Packer preseason game with some buddies when I was in college, and they had Nita on the back, and they were like, "When did Nita play? I don't remember Nita." I was like, "Yeah, that's because there was no Nita, jackass." Anyway, by the way, every time you say Yankees, am I the only one that hears Tommy Boy, Chris Farley going, "Richard, is your favorite team the Red Sox or is it the Yankees?" So every time you say Yankees, that's what I hear. Just me, not you. I love Tommy Boy.
No, I love Tommy Boy.
I was going to say, you're not American?
No, one of my best friend's dad was in Tommy Boy.
What? Who?
Brian Dennehy.
Really?
Yeah.
Are we name dropping here?
Yeah,
Are you big time in me? Are you sticking it to me? You know famous people?
No, I know famous people through their unfamous sons.
What did he play? Was he the father?
Brian Dennehy was the dad. He was Tommy's
dad, right? Okay.
Yeah.
He was also him?
He was also the fat rat in Ratatouille.
See, I did not know that, but I've not really taken in Ratatouille.
Did you know that? Are you a How I Met Your Mother fan at all?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that Marshall's dad in How I Met Your Mother is SpongeBob, or is Patrick on SpongeBob?
No.
Yep.
I remember him from Coach.
I know
Remember
the
the
coach
show
too.
Coach?
Yeah.
Even though you're young, that attaboy. Jesse Trujillo coming through for me. All right, we got to wrap this one up. Alex, thank you. We'll have to have you on again. Because, see, we talk about anything.
Listen,
really.
anytime.
Pretty much
If
anybody
we just want to have a
qualifies to
pop
come on
culture
this.
reference podcast, I'm in on it.
Well, then you know what? We'll do it at Stranahan's. How about that? Because they're one of the sponsors.
Throw a couple whiskeys
We'll
back.
throw a couple back, and then it'll get nutty.
I haven't had their diamond cask. I've had their
You haven't
sherry.
had the black?
No,
label?
I had their sherry cask. Oh man, is that okay?
Okay, that's another. You need to know. All I have is Diamond Peak.
The
That's all
Diamond
I
Peak,
got.
and what's the special one that they come out with? Like,
Snowflake. I got 2 bottles of that, but that's in limbo. You heard it here first. I don't know what's going to go on.
I'm not coming on the podcast unless that's sitting next to me.
Yeah, well, it might be a while then because you know what? I got very limited supply of 2 bottles, 2 years worth left. So anyway, all right, Alex, thank you guys. Thank you. We'll get another one to you next week.